species in the ecosystem, be it the food chain or the food cycle, or be it the food web. All we have to realize is that the human beings are also a part of this ecological web. So conservation or protection of wildlife should also be done to ensure our own sustenance. We all remember the times that we went through during the COVID pandemic. There is one of the theories that says that the COVID virus, the SARS-CoV virus, got involved in the human chain through consumption of pangolins. Now, pangolin is a widely traded mammal. It is the highest traded mammal across the globe. So it is said that consumption of pangolin meat helped introduce that virus into the human ecosystem. So we all have to remember that somehow or the other, we are included in this ecological pyramid and this ecological web. So conservation of wildlife should be done to maintain our own sustenance as well, the sustenance of the human race. See, as far as certain global studies are concerned, according to a study conducted by the UNODC, the entire monetary worth involved with global wildlife trade amounts to 23 billion US dollars per year, which is a huge amount. And you can have an idea about the illegal industry that is sustaining on wildlife, uh, animals, and their contrabands and their products, their derivatives. So, if you see about the monetary value involved in various kinds of crime, illegal logging with illegal wildlife trade, they rank among the top three of the transnational crimes that occur across the globe, only next to counterfeiting and drugs trafficking. So it's a huge industry which comes at a cost of environmental degradation. Now, why is India so important as far as the global wildlife crime aspect is concerned? We all know that India is a mega biodiverse nation which harbors 536 wildlife sanctuaries, 103 national parks, and an astonishing 60 to 70% of the world's biodiversity is concentrated in India. So this makes India a major source point for uh, species that are in demand in the global wildlife trade. More so, India hosts 7.6% of all mammals across the globe. It has 12.6% of the bird population across the globe and harbors 6.2% of reptiles. 6% of flowering plant species are also found in India, and a lot of these species are endemic in nature, which means that all these species are found only in India, the endemic species. Wildlife crime is a demand driven crime which will come across, and a lot of people across the globe wish to or aspire to harbor these species and their products, which makes India a vulnerable source population for global wildlife trade. Just to move on with the presentation, we need to have some idea about what wildlife crime is all about. Just a few characteristics that we should focus on. It is a demand driven crime. The demand for a product or the wildlife exists, which causes the crime to occur. So, mm, the existing demand causes the downfall of that population of the species. Wildlife crime is also known to be an organized crime, which is characterized by a chain of custody. I'll just explain this. Uh, Wildlife crime is often mm, carried out by means of a group of people. One might be a financier, one might be just a transporter or a trafficker, the other person is a consumer, one might be a hunter. So it's a group of people that get involved in these sorts of crime. And there are various links in the chain. There might be local guides who operate near the forest areas. There are poachers who indulge in activities like hunting, shooting the animals. There are carriers who carry the contrabands from one place to the other. There are certain financiers who sit at a different place altogether, but financially help in aiding the crime. Then there are consumers, which are both at the national level and the international level as well. If you look at the dimension of illegal wildlife trade, the number of people involved, they form a pyramid. More number of people are involved at the lower level, which are the indigenous people who help in locating the animals, who help in passing on information about the animal's movement, who help in hunting or trapping of the animal, who help in removal of parts of the animal. Then there are middlemen or resellers who just act like brokers or help transport this animal product from one part to the other. And the least number of people involved are the major smuggling cartels or the consumers. But if you look at the financials involved in this illegal wildlife trade, the pyramid just gets reversed. The indigenous people, which form the major chunk, get a very minuscule share of the money involved in this trade. A greater amount of money is taken out as profits by the middlemen in the middle section, and the major chunk of the wealth is made by the last tier of people involved in wildlife trafficking, that is the smuggling cartels. We will just look into the species that are involved in illegal wildlife trade, and this is something that you need to really focus upon because you might come across these species or during your field visits or may come across certain parts of them in your entire life which you feel are being uh, utilized in illegal wildlife trade. So first of all, the tiger. It is said that every single body part of the tiger is being used in the illegal wildlife trade, be its skin, be its bones, be its paws, be its claws, be its whiskers, be it blood, every single part of this animal is being targeted by the mm, poachers and the traffickers uh, to meet the demand in illegal wildlife trade globally. So you see, certain tiger skins, they often get seized at various parts of the country during various times, and the claws as well. Similarly, leopard is also a target species in illegal wildlife trade. Uh, in terms of trade or illegal wildlife trade, leopard is known to be a substitute species. What exactly it is? The main demand exists for skins and body parts of big cats like tiger, but the supply of tigers is not much in the illegal wildlife trade ecosystem. So the focus shifts on to leopards. Often leopards are targeted for for their bones and claws to substitute the demand for tiger species. More so, leopards also face a threat for retaliatory killing when they stray into nearby villages or get involved in cattle lifting. So leopards face a two-pronged threat. दोनों तरफ से इनको threat है. One is for retaliatory killing and the other is for uh, illegal wildlife trade. Rhinos, we all know that rhinos are mainly targeted for the horns, which in certain parts of the world are considered to be have some alleged medicinal values, but there is no scientific data to prove the same. The rhino horns are just made up of keratin, which is the protein which helps us, which is found in our nails and hair. So if keratin protein had been so important in the medicinal industry, our hair and nails could have been utilized. It is just a supposed belief, a superstitious belief that rhino horn harbors some medicinal values, hence they are target. Next, we come across elephants and targeted mainly for their tusks to make some ivory products. But presently in trade, elephant blood beads are also being found, and their tail hairs are also being found to be made into bracelets and rings, which are worn for certain supposed lucky charms. You can see a lot of elephant ivory products are in trade, which include minuscule handicraft, miniature handicrafts, which include jewelry items, which include showpieces as well. Now, this species, pangolin, it is presently the highest traded mammal across the globe, which is the numbers are staggering at and It is traded much more than big cats as well. It is a very timid animal and mainly targeted for its scales, which are supposedly used for some medicinal beliefs, and also the fetus. The picture that you can see at the left hand bottom corner of your screen, the pangolin fetus is also used to be consumed as soup in certain countries. So, this is why the species is targeted from our heartland of India. You can see these are certain pictures of pangolin scales that are recovered from the traffickers during uh, operations to curb wildlife trade. The musk deer targeted for the musk glands, which the male hosts to attract the females, and it is used in the perfumery industry. So the males are killed, the musk pods are removed, and then they are sold for demand in the perfumery industry. The bear, the black bear or the sloth bear, they are targeted for mainly their gallbladder. The bear gallbladder harbors the bear bile, which is known to be used in certain medicinal practices for liver ailments. So the picture that you can see at the left-hand bottom corner of your screen is the bear bile, which is cut open and the yellow bile crystals are removed to be used in medicinal beliefs. Snakes often targeted for two to three purposes. One is for their venom, the second being to be kept as pets in the pet industry, which are mostly the non-venomous ones, which you can see at the bottom of your screen, and also for its leather and various products being made from snake leather. Another such species that you can see in the screen is the gharial. It looks much like a crocodile, but has a very thinner snout, which makes it capable to hunt only smaller species like the fishes. And there's a pot-like structure just above its snout, which in Hindi is often termed as the ghada, from where they get its name as the gharial. So gharial hatchlings are often traded as mm, for its demand in the pet industry. Now, this is one such snake known as the red sand boa. In Hindi, it is often known as the do muha sa. Now, why is it called so? Because the part where the snake ends, its tail part, has a similar structure with its mouth part. So both the ends of the snake, they look like a roundish structure and resemble each other. Hence, some people believe that it is a superstitious belief that it has a mouth at both ends of the body, which is a complete superstition. And this alleged superstition fuels its trade in the illegal wildlife trade ecosystem. Many a times people demand for these snakes as they have heard from somewhere that this is supposed to bring you luck. And this demand fuels uh, or rather encourages the people residing near the villages or the snake charmers to hunt for these snakes and get them out of the ecosystem. Certain products are also in trade for which are derived from snakes. They include the snake venom and also the skins that are derived from the snakes to make certain exotic leather products. Turtles and tortoises, a major group of species that are involved in the wildlife trade, mainly traded for two purposes. One is for the pet industry, and the other is for consumption of its meat. In certain parts of the country, people believe that consumption of turtle meat has some medicinal values which has no scientific background. Research has negated the fact, and at other places, people try to keep these beautiful turtles as pets in their aquariums. One such turtle is the first two turtles that you can see on the screen are Indian softshell or flapshell turtles and the Gangetic softshell. These are mainly used for consumption of its meat, whereas the third one and the ones following it are used in the pet industry because of the beautiful colorations that they mm, display. This one, the third picture on the top row, is that of the Indian tent turtle, and it derives its name from the tent-like structure that it holds, that it displays, used in the pet industry. The spotted pond turtle, black in color with yellow spots, again used in the pet industry. The red crown roof turtle. Now, this is a very endemic species found in very limited habitats across the Chambal Basin. So, Madhya Pradesh and parts of Uttar Pradesh are a major home to this species, and which is in very high demand for the global illegal wildlife trade. The last of this is a tortoise. Now, as we know that tortoises are mainly inhabiting the terrestrial ecosystem. They are not riverine ecosystem. The tortoises, these star tortoises, are sourced from southern parts of India and in western parts of India from the arid or semi-arid lands and circulated in the pet industry. This is another one of the most traded turtles and tortoises in the pet industry and has a very high demand in among the hobbyists. So many a times you can come across this species in the uh, pet markets or in the social media where people try to sell off these pets. This is how turtles are transported across the country, their legs tied up to prevent or minimize the movement which might raise suspicion, and then packed in bags so that they can be transported across major distance. Now, this existing demand which people have, that I want to consume turtle meat or I want to keep turtles as a pet, result in collection of these species in huge numbers from the ecosystem. And then while getting transported, a lot of them die. Finally, a few of them reach their destination. So to cater to this demand of maybe 5 turtles or 10 turtles, or maybe 100 turtles, a lot more die during the process of capture and their transit. You see, these are turtles that have been seized from time to time, whether being transported across the international border areas or being transported domestically to meet their demands. In the last picture, you can see that they have been taped up with duct tapes or sellotapes so that the movements can be restricted and these animals can be transported through longer distances without raising any such kinds of suspicion. Now, various birds are also there in the illegal trade ecosystem. Certain birds are pretty commonly found, but since they are sought after species in the wildlife trade, they were included in the Wildlife Protection Act. For example, these two parakeets that you can see are known as the Alexandrian parakeet and the rose-ringed parakeet. These are also listed in the Wildlife Protection Act. A lot of people are not aware of this and they try to keep it in cages in their houses, which definitely attracts violation of the Wildlife Protection Act, and it can lead to imprisonment of the person. There are other birds as well, the hornbill, the hill myna, the Indian roller, the third species. Uh, can anyone say what is it called in Hindi? The Indian roller, this bird.
नीलकंठ सर.
Neelikant, sir. Neelikant.
Exactly. And do you know that it has a certain specific demand in the wildlife industry, wildlife trade industry, illegal wildlife trade industry for a specific purpose? Okay, the trade in this bird is seasonal. It is believed that in some places it is considered to be a lucky charm when seen during Dasera time, or they are flown away from certain houses during Dasera. This fuels the capturing of these birds from the wild just before Dasera, because people want to take it to their houses and fly it from there. During the capture and during the transit, a lot of these birds die, and finally, a few of them reach their destination. Similarly, certain other birds are also kept as pets, like the munias, kingfisher, often targeted for its beautiful coloration of the body and the body feathers. And the last one, the owl. Again, the trade of owls or ullu is seasonal. Can anyone relate to what time, or can anyone guess what time of the year does its trade increase?
During Diwali season, sir.
Exactly. And why is it so?
Because they like mythological, it's been believed that it's that symbol of goddess Lakshmi. So for that
Okay.
reason, it's been transfer like illegally traded.
And do you know what happens after that?
No, sir.
Okay. So in a lot of places, these owls are captured, transported, and right after Diwali, they are sacrificed. इनका बलि चढ़ाया जाता है. Because people believe that goddess Lakshmi's carrier or Vahan is the owl. So if the owl is sacrificed, then Lakshmi won't be able to leave from our residence and she will stay at our residence. So these are kinds of beliefs, supposed beliefs that fuel wildlife trade. So you can just consider the amount of the, uh, superstition that is related to or that helps in fueling this wildlife trade. So you can see this is how the birds are transported. Very inhuman nature. They are cramped up in cages and often their heads are covered so that they do not end up poking each other and damaging each other. This cramped upness in which they are transported often result in their mm, death while they are being transported. This is another such animal which is highly traded, the mongoose. We definitely know its ecological significance in ways of controlling